According to the Department of Defense, only 1% of the U.S. population serve or ever served in the United States military. And out of that 1%, only 17% of them ever make it to retirement. Now, how many are going to stay in and serve until retirement when the promises that are made to them are being broken and there are proposed changes to break even more of those promises? What would be the incentive for them to stay in at least 20 years? And how are we going to keep experience in our military ranks? Today I'll be talking to you about the military retirement be changed, and why I believe it shouldn't be changed. First, I will be talking to you about how the military retirement system works, what the promises are that military retirees receive for serving at least 20 years in the military. I'll also be talking to you about some of the promises that are already being broke to military retirees and proposed changes by lawmakers for the retirement system as a whole. I'll also talk to you about, if these changes are made, how there will be no incentive for members to stay in and make a career out of the military. We'll probably lose the experience in our ranks, and people will only serve a few years. And finally, I will talk about how it could cost the government more money to train new members every year and to get incentive for them to stay in past in the first few years. I will begin by telling you how the military retirement system works. If you go to the site defense.gov, it explains all the details about how the military retirement system works and what the promises are to these retirees and what they'll receive the rest of their life. Basically, if a member stays in at least 20 years, they are eligible for retirement. At that 20-year mark, they are eligible for 50% of their base pay for the rest of their life. Also, for every year they stay in past 20 years, it gets 2.5% more of that base pay added to their retirement pay every month. Retirees also get a cost of living allowance every year, so the retirement pay goes up a couple points each year, depending on what the cost of living raises to the cost of living. Also, according to military.com, retirees receive health care at a minimum cost for the rest of their lives. These are all great benefits that encourage members to stay in the military. According to the Military Officers Association of America, this is what helps us recruit and retain members in the United States military. But what happens when promises are broken and proposed changes could go into effect? How is that going to affect our military as a whole? The government has already broke some promises to retirees, such as free health care for life. This was an incentive that was given to retirees many years ago that the government has taken away and now requires retirees to pay for their health care. It's still a good system, really not much, but it was one of those promises that the government already broke. Recently, the government has broken another promise by reducing the cost of living allowance to retirement pay by 1% for any retiree under 62. The Secretary of Defense has released a memo to the military and articles in the Air Force Times stating that this will save the government a lot of money over the next few years by reducing that cost of living allowance by 1%. But not only are these changes broken promises, now the government wants to change the system as a whole, such as making members wait to 62 to receive any type of retirement benefits. This could cause members to wait over 20-something years after retirement to see any type of benefit for serving in the military. They also proposed a change by starting a 401k retirement system such as the civilian sectors have. This will require military members to put a certain percentage away of their base pay every month to be able to collect that at the age of 62 as well. So either way, any of the changes that the government is making is going to make retirees wait till at least they hit their 60s to get any type of retirement pay. But what happens if these changes are made? Is there really going to be any incentive for military members to stay in past 20 years? The military needs experienced NCOs and officers in the military ranks and needs these people to make careers out of the military. As I stated earlier, the Military Officers Association of America stated that retention in the ranks is good right now because of that military retirement system, and they already know by serving at least 20 years and making a career out of the military what type of pay and benefits they are going to receive. But what would be an incentive to stay in at least 20 years if those pay and benefits are taken away? Most of the training that we receive in the military is transferable to the civilian side, and the government pays to train these new members every year. Now, what if we lose these members for them to leave and go make more money on the civilian side? Not only is that wasted money that the government and the taxpayer to train these members just for them to leave and go on the civilian side to do the same job and probably make more money. Also, if they leave and go to the civilian side, they have a possibility of getting a 401k plan system, such as the one that's proposed by the U.S. government for military members. But they have the possibility of being able to put more money in there if they are earning more money on the civilian side. Also, if these changes go into effect and there is no retention in the ranks, it could hurt our national defense. By losing our experienced NCOs and officers that are needed, this could limit the experience that we have in our military ranks and lead to the possibility of mistakes being made. Less retention in the military could cost the government more money to train new members as well. Less retention in forces would mean that we'd have to train more members that are already being trained in the military. The government spends a lot of money every year to train new members from the military. The DoD stated in an article, military basic training attrition rates, they cost about $11,000 each to recruit new members. And that is just to recruit members. This is not including the cost of any training. After these members are recruited, it costs about $35,000 each member to get them through their initial training. And the recruiting numbers in recent years are between 160 to 200,000 new members every year. And out of that number, 5 to 10% of them will never make it past basic training. So that is wasting money there, recruiting and training them new members just to lose them in the first month or two of serving in the military. And this also, that 160 to 200,000 new members, is also the number of new members each year with good retention rates. How high is that number going to go up if we have no retention in the ranks and it causes us to have to recruit and train more members every year? As you can see, how the military retirement system works, and because of the way it works, how it helps us retain members in the military, it helps keep that experience in our military ranks. If the retirement system is changed and more promises are broke, how we can lose that experience in the military ranks, and how it can end up costing the government more money when there's a need to constantly recruit and train new members every year. Today I spoke to you about how the military retirement system works, how some of the promises that are already being broke, and proposed changes to the retirement system as a whole. Also, if these changes go into effect, I explained to you how it could hurt retention in our military ranks. I also spoke to you about these changes could end up costing the government more money by recruiting and training more members every year. My references for this speech are defense.gov, search for military retirement pay, military.com, basic military training rates, Secretary of Defense memo to military members, and an article that was published in the Air Force Times, DoD article, military basic training attrition rates, and articles from the Military Officers Association of America. Thank you for your time.